All right. I am gonna kick this off. Try to make the most of your time today, and just to level set how today is going to go is I'm going to try to go a little bit deeper into explaining some of the points from the RFA, and then work through some questions or ask you guys to submit questions into the Q&A that you see at the bottom of your screen there, and we will put up a formal answer to those questions by July 2nd on our website for everybody to begin looking at. So just to kick us off, my name is Courtney Taylor. I'm the executive director of Accelerate Mississippi. And we put together what we're calling Reconnect, this funding situation essentially to try to get towards solving some problems. And ultimately, those problems, next slide, those problems start and end really with just we need more workers in the workplace today. We needed them before any of these recent economic development announcements with these new companies. But having those announcements with the companies just amplifies the need. And so ultimately, we are very focused on the construction industry as we see things heating up around the state, but not just construction proper, but construction adjacent jobs. And so you can be in a construction job, but not actually working for a construction company. And we'll talk about those occupations a little bit later. But we know in the Jackson Metro that construction is a major need, and it's going to be a long-term need. This is not going to slow down. We know in North Mississippi, with Amplify Cell Technologies kicking off, there's going to be an enhanced construction need, even in the Golden Triangle and down on the coast. The skill sets in those programs are specific. Now, this Reconnect goes beyond construction jobs, so don't just hear that, but I did want to address those and kind of make sure that you understand that what you will hear with a lot of these projects is about the companies themselves and the workers that they're going to have within the walls of the company, and we're working on those occupations as well, as you'll see. But construction is a big need, so we're doubling down on that realistically as much as possible. So as we roll into the next slide, what you're seeing here is that the ultimate goal of Reconnect and the things that we are going to be reporting on and that we are very interested in as the state's Office of Workforce Development is simply programs and opportunities that provide pathways to participants to get something going, and then to pursue further education and skilling opportunities. We are focusing heavily on the 8 weeks or less, 40 hours to 320 hours for my training professionals on this call. That's a limited amount of what you can teach people. We are very well aware of that. So we don't expect you to make an electrician or maybe even a full HVAC technician or any of those kinds of things. What we do expect is that they are on the pathway and they have documented skills that actually allow them to then go into work and then continue what they're doing as they move forward. The limitations on this are because we are seeking accelerated training programs, no pun intended. But we are in need, as we have some pretty intense human capital needs around the state, as you'll see next. That we have set some internal goals to be able to recruit and train as a state 12,000 highly skilled workers over the next 2 years. That's a lot. This is a heavy lift, and it takes all partners working together. It's working across all industries all the time. And this is going to involve everyone. And so you'll see as we walk through a lot of this, and as you read through the RFA, that we are setting the bar at 16 and above. We actually have a fairly low labor force participation for 16 to 19-year-olds. And so we don't want to lose them as they graduate high school. So as part of this, we have set some goals for each what we call ecosystem, and you'll see on your screen where we have the different ecosystems that we refer to noted, and we can get more specific if it's necessary. Ultimately, you can argue with the numbers or take issue with the numbers, and I'm all here for that. But really, what we're doing here is trying to set the tone that we have some critical need areas in the state. Every area of the state is in need of some human capital. Some areas of the state, there are more humans, more activities going on right now, and just more growth in demand. And we, as a workforce entity, and as you all obviously as interested in workforce providing skills training for people, we need more of it. It is complicated and expensive and hard, and the COVID situation hasn't helped us. And so what we have found through this is we're saying we need more people working. We know it is hard to get them interested. It's hard to get them interested in occupations. It's hard to get them interested in training, and that looks like many different things. We know that the unemployment or underemployment is highly individualized. It is really, really challenging to to develop a one size fits all solution. And so we tried to leave some flexibility in this and just tell you what our priorities are through this RFA. If you haven't read it yet, it is available on our website. Hang on, go back. We have tried to keep it as simple as possible, but also kind of help people think through um, where we are as a state. And where we are as a state is almost every industry, almost every company is in need of people. We have people in need of jobs, and it's my assertion and my thought that a lot of the lack of understanding comes from a lack of exposure. So where can we expose individuals to some short-term pathways, some short-term training that gets them an opportunity to begin a job that maybe they wouldn't have seen as an option before, a good job that they wouldn't have seen as an option before, that now they could because they've been exposed to it. This is state funding. These are state requirements, and we're going to follow that. We will require that participants be enrolled into what we call our Mississippi Works portal. And as they get in there, we'll be able to kind of track their outcomes and understand what made a difference and maybe what didn't. As we are looking at this and thinking through the realities, our realities and our two focal areas are unemployed and underemployed. And there's some definitions within the documents. I'm not going to belabor that. Unemployed is a pretty broad definition, in my opinion. That is not the normal federal definition. So for those of you that are accustomed to dealing with the federal funds, read it carefully and please ask questions, specific questions. Our goal is if you are 16 years or older and there is a company hiring in your community, specifically our priority occupations that I'll walk through in a minute, but there are some other opportunities there. If there's a company hiring for these positions, we want to have a training program available to get them rolling and get them into the positions. There's also an underemployed piece of this where we know companies are going to, or hope companies will, upskill people, move them up in the company, and create some room at the entry level roles so that we can roll more people into these. We have seen good luck where people can get connected to the labor market quickly. The quicker and the more attached to the training program it is, the more those things align. Traditionally, the better opportunities for individuals and the better outcomes they have if they know what they're doing. And again, as I'm talking, you'll see a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Please feel free to put your questions in there, and we will get them answered by July 2nd. So unemployed and underemployed. Every local workforce development area has what they call priority sectors. So you'll need to work with your planning and development district, and we can help connect you to them if you're not connected, to work through those. We are targeting occupations that pay $16 or more per hour. And that is where we are focusing. That is where your efforts need to be. And as you walk through this, you'll find questions about these different things, or these different occupations and sectors. So please reach out to us or reach out to your planning and development district to ask those questions. So what we have done as an office is set priority occupations, and these are occupations that we have set the priority for funding for this year. And we are specifically interested. I'm going to run through these. We are recording this webinar, and you can work with your planning and development district or your local coordinator for our office if you know who that is. If not, we can connect you. But we are working specifically to target these in each ecosystem. So if you'll go to the next slide, we'll start at 1 and we'll go through 8. I'm not going to belabor this and talk through all of them. But I do want you to understand that we have selected these specific occupations. We can't focus on everything. Everything can't be a priority, unfortunately. We have been fortunate as a state to invest about 125, 150 million almost in the last few years between federal and state dollars in significant programs. Nursing is an example. Allied health programs. There's many, many more. And so the programs you see missing from this doesn't mean they're not important, and doesn't mean they're not eligible necessarily. But these are what we are focusing on. So if you look in the northwestern part of the state, we're specifically focused on emergency medical technicians, commercial electricians, waterworks operators. This includes sewer and water. This particular industry is aging, and so we've had some conversations with individuals, and we know we need to get more people started down these pathways so that they can start growing with their organizations. Up in this region, we have significant economic development activity taking place. We know we're going to need machine operators as we're moving forward. We know we need industrial maintenance technicians and machinists and commercial electricians, logisticians, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, aerospace technologists, and then industrial engineers. And what the numbers you see on the side, these are our starting points. This is what we are saying. We need to develop programs as a state that can provide at least this many people per year, at least. We really aren't, for most of these, especially the skilled jobs, you're not really in a situation where we're going to have too many people in the marketplace based on our current capacity and the current demand. So that's not a problem right now. Could it become a problem one day? Yes. But if you start adding 30 machinists a year to the economy, I think they'll get taken in very quickly. So we are mindful. We are watching this list every year. We'll be updating it as things change, but my expectation is the list doesn't change, but every 3 years or so. These are pretty significant needs that have been there for a while, and we're hoping to close the gaps on them. Ecosystem 3, so 1 and 3 are in the Delta, in what we call South Delta Planning and Development District. That contact is Mitzi Woods. And so you'll see 1 and 3, 2 and 4, we're doing it that way. So ecosystem 3, several of the same jobs as before. We also have data center controls technicians, as we have Amazon kicking off in Madison County. Not everyone in this ecosystem will be near enough to drive, but where they are, those programs are eligible. Network technicians, again, electricians, aerospace technologists, fiber fusion splicing. This is for broadband, Amazon, those kinds of things. As we're building out these new jobs, these new opportunities, we've got to have training programs and opportunities for them. Solar photovoltaic installers, that's going to be a big one up in the Delta. Line workers, engineers, bookkeeping, accounting, and auditing clerks. This continues to show as a need in the region. Renewable energy engineers, plumbers, HVAC technicians, electrical engineers. So kind of the same cast of characters across the board. We know statewide we need more electricians, more plumbers, more HVAC technicians, and more emergency medical technicians. There's many more, but those are kind of the core 4. Industrial maintenance is a dedicated need as well. As we move over, we go up over to ecosystem 4. Hang on, go back. Some of the same there. I'm not going to read through all of these for each one, but I'll pause on it and let you think about it. Here we're adding heavy equipment operators. That could probably also be added in other regions if you see a need for that. If you see this list and you think there's some things missing and you have some data to support it, I would love to have that conversation. We can start with our ecosystem coordinator and see what maybe we missed in the data or what hadn't been communicated to us yet. So we would appreciate that. Here we're adding industrial engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers are going to be a big one also. So keep that in mind. We can go to the next slide. Here, ecosystem 5, this is heavily pushed by Amazon and the construction needs for the Amazon data centers. So you have your normal cast of characters, you have construction engineers here, computer science engineers. We also get down into fiber fusion splicing instructors. We're going to need some of those in the region. We need more fiber fusion splicing. Those classes have already started, and we have several training providers that are working on doing more of those. So we're excited about that. We know we need more plumbers. And the thing I would say, when you hear me say plumbing, when you hear our office say plumbing, we are not necessarily talking about just the plumbers that come to your house and do your residential plumbing work, okay? We are talking about commercial plumbers. There is a great need for this, and this is going to take a lot of work to get people interested in all of these fields because they're not traditionally exposed to them. So our training partners know that this is a tough lift that they have to do regularly. So we're working through that. And again, these numbers are just the starting point. I don't see there are none of these opportunities that I think we could exhaust this year based on the resources available across the board. So we encourage you to lean into them where you have the capacity and the capability, and where you don't, let's see what we can do together to build that. Next, please. As we move over into ecosystem 6, some of this still also bleeds into ecosystem 5, but again, heavy equipment operators, electricians, fiber splicers, data centers, machinists, welders, EMTs, and industrial maintenance technicians. Same situation. If you see something that's not on there, let us know. Ecosystem 7, we have a significant population that drives from there up to Madison for work. So we've doubled up on some of those occupations. We know we're going to need engineering technicians, logging equipment operators. Again, your same cast of characters, plumbers, pipe fitters, data center controls technicians, HVAC, industrial maintenance technicians. Moving on. Again, the next one, this kind of there's a little bit different kind of really complex demand on the coast. Shipbuilding carpenters, machinists and millwrights. We've got your aerospace engineers. We have a significant need for aerospace technologists and technicians, waterworks operators, welders. These kinds of things are going to be around for a long time. Network technicians. The demand is not going to die off realistically anytime soon. And these skills are fairly transportable across industries, even in some cases. And at the end of the day, the goal is to, for our purposes as an office, is to say we need more people working, making more money, and in order to get them into these longer term, even employer sponsored training programs or apprenticeships, to get them into longer term community college, university training programs, we have to get them started. And most people who are working and are underemployed, they need significant assistance to be able to train and not have to choose between work and school. And that's a complicated ask. So we are realistic. We understand that there are many challenges to jump through. So you'll note if you look at the RFA, that we started reviewing applications on June 7th. We will continue until we exhaust funds for this. So this is really sort of a rolling application at this point. It takes time to get all the partners together and on the same page, and we will work through the applications as fast as we can when we get them. But we wanted to leave this open-ended as you work in your communities to kind of identify the needs that you have specifically, and where you have complementary availability to be able to provide some of these things. Doesn't work everywhere. We're not saying it should. No harm, no foul if this doesn't work for you. But if it does work for you, please engage with it. We have added the ability to pay participant stipends in this program. With that, you must propose your check marks along the way. They can't come into a 320-hour program without any stopping points to be able to make sure that they are advancing. And you've got to set very real expectations, of performance exam, a test, however you're going to do it. But If we're going to pay them to be in class, it needs to be serious and it needs to be operated like a job. And it needs to have those same kind of boxes around it to ensure that people understand and start building that understanding of this is what it means to work. I have to be there every day. I have to provide checkpoints. I have to produce something. And in this case, the production is training. So we have our priority occupations. We are open to examining occupations that we haven't listed on a case-by-case basis. So you've got to make your case. And what that means is you've got to tell us the data. The actual local data, please don't provide national data because this is Mississippi and we need Mississippi data with Mississippi challenges and concerns. And so start with your coordinator at your local community on that. If you don't know who that is, you can email our office at grants@acceleratems.org. And we will work with you on that. So as I'm finishing up, I would like to remind you, please place your questions in the Q&A box and we will get them answered formally. That way everybody can see them. To kind of circle up on a couple of things. We are trying to examine funding and fund things that get more people working, making more money. It is that simple. It is very hard to go after the unemployed population. We're not naive to that, but it's a population that we've got to try something for. We've got to get these things helped, and we've got to help our K-12, our 16 to 19-year-olds, specifically our young people. We've got to help get them attached to the labor market in good jobs so that they don't default to other things that aren't going to lead them towards the future. We are very specifically focused on short-term training programs here. The planning and development districts do have an option, and I've still got to get it added to the RFA for some priority occupation only ITAs, individual training accounts. That is a limited ability because our focus is on these short-term training programs. Accelerated short-term, we're looking at 20 plus hours per week. And that is challenging for some existing systems, and I understand that. But we're trying to collapse this as much as possible to get these workers through some basic training and get them into the workplace so that they can be productive for their employers and for themselves, start earning an income, and continue to advance. And as you're building out your programs, please consider and remember that we need to attach them to your higher level activities. You know, if you're giving them some basic electrical skills to get them rolling, commercial electrical skills, please. But as you're, and it's just an example, but as you're giving them some of those skills to get rolling, don't miss the opportunities to show them your longer term opportunities and ensure that those opportunities allow them to work and move forward in their lives. As you're thinking through questions, if you think about a question after we hang up here in a few minutes today, you can email it to grants@acceleratems.org. And that is on our RFA, the request for applications, and the request for applications is live. Our encouragement and desire is that we see, for lack of a better word, consortium type applications. Where you've got a planning and development district and the training institutions kind of partnering together to make this stuff work. It is a complicated ask. It's a complicated issue. And so it's our assertion that the more communities can do together, the more resources are protected and I guess leveraged for better uses. So that's kind of a high level view of it. The eligible applicants are planning our local workforce development areas, our universities, community colleges. So you all need to work together to get an application, you know, with one of those entities. And again, it is our desire that there is some effort to partner together to make these things possible. As we are walking through this and as you're working through this, you know, please use us as a resource. Start with our local coordinators. If you don't know who they are, they're on our website. Start with our local coordinators, start with your local planning and development district. And if you have technical questions, please get those to us either through the Q&A chat below or through the grants@acceleratems.org. I about said .gov. Get those to us for that, and then we can see what we can do Um, the recording will be available on our website, so you can have this to you go from there. And we also encourage, as you're thinking through your programs, specifically for the unemployed, but most likely for the underemployed also, is some of the what people refer to as soft skills. These are really just core skills that need to be interspersed within the training. It is our desire that these are not separate things. Don't make somebody show up for 24 hours of this and 46 hours of this. Get it all together and make it as seamless as possible for the individual, so that we don't discourage them early on. And that's really what we're trying to do, is just encourage people into and through the labor market. And the more people we can lift up, maybe the more people we can get into some of these entry level roles. So please be thinking of what questions you have. Please get those to us, and we will get the responses to those put up, and we can all move on from this. But I appreciate the efforts. I know we have many partners working really closely together to be able to propose some solid programs, and I know it's taken some of you outside of your core and outside of your norm, and I'm really appreciative of that. And I think it's going to be great for Mississippi's workforce. So as you think about it, please communicate those to us and we will get you an answer. And Shalika and everyone, thank you for your time today. That is all I have. We will see y'all soon.